Welcome to the Heart of the Story with Gary Mativier podcast. Positive, inspiring stories of everyday people doing cool stuff. When you are ready to take a break from your world, come on over to ours and meet people following their dreams, pursuing hobbies and careers that just might inspire you. People like this.
I did pass 2 or 3 cars at Bristol. It didn't take them long to get back around me, but I can say I did pass at least 2 or 3.
You are about to hear one of my favorite interviews ever. Nick Stoop, a self-proclaimed country boy who races for the pure joy it brings him, is now being invited to racetracks all over this country after turning heads on the dirt-covered Nascar track at Bristol, Tennessee.
Why, Nick? There's thousands of people out there just like me, work every day, barely make it, to the races and I reckon I was just lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
Now the Tech Challenge 60-year-old has gone viral, driving what he says was the ugliest and slowest car out there. And you got thousands and thousands of people cheering for you, man. I mean, what do you think it is that's making people have that feeling?
I think one thing, a lot of times people kind of pull for the underdog, and, it's just that a lot of those cars out there, a lot of money and sponsors and stuff like that, and, my car kind of looked, pretty much is. Keep the windows out, put a roll cage in it, let's go racing.
Episode 77, Nick Stoop, the legend on the dirt at Bristol. From his custom-painted hood, his daughter had asked him what the Grim Reaper was before she could paint it for him. He told her to look it up on the internet. To his painted-on number 74X, a tribute in part to those who helped get him here. Nick Stoop is living a dream after stepping on and then driving on a NASCAR track decades into his racing career. We talk with him as he sits in his garage in front of his car he's been working on an old creaky chair with its yellowish cushioned seat, likely a leftover from the 80s. What you see and what you're about to hear is what you get from Nick Stoop as he enjoys this moment in the spotlight that he hopes will help the sport he loves and encourage more people to take a shot at living their dream. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. So how's it going today? It's been a long day for you, huh?
It's going good. I've worked all day again today.
Yeah. So what do you think? First off, we'll get to Bristol and your car in a second. What do you think about learning all this new technology you guys have been dealing with the last few days?
Brittany and them's been dealing with that. I've just been talking on the phones about all I know how to do.
So you don't have to worry about Zoom calls or Zencasters or podcasts or any of that stuff. You just talk and work on your car, huh?
She had to work on this too to get it to work. We thought there for a little while we might have to postpone it.
Oh, see, that's the thing. You can fix a car from the ground up, but you can't do much to this technology, can you?
No, sir.
Hey, let's start with your racing career, if you don't mind. What age were you when you first started to drive a race car, and who taught you how to drive?
I was 28, 29 years old. It was in the late 80s, early 90s. And a friend of mine, the way I got started, Ben Miller, met him up here at the factory I worked at, and he wanted me to start helping him work on his car. And went out there, I hot lapped once or twice, and I told him one time I wanted to drive. And we went down there the next weekend. He drawed a number. He come down there and told me, he said, well, tonight's your night. I'd hot lapped the car, but now we was walking down there to get ready to go. And I told Ben, I said, get in there and drive. I done chickened out, And he told me, he said, Nick, you don't get in there and drive, so we'll let that car sit there all night. We'll go watch the races. We'll haul it home. Since he said that, I said, well, I pretty much got to get in there. But I remember last thing Ben told me, he said, hey, Nick, said, don't get hurt. Have fun. Said, tear the car up. Said, we'll try to get another Monday and start working on it.
What do you think the first time you got behind the wheel and you were in a race? Do you remember that feeling at all, Nick?
It was great. Well, it was great, but it was also, real nervous and stuff. I'm gonna say after the first 3 or 4 races kind of calm down, so that you ain't as nervous, and that's when, you really get to enjoy it.
What was it, the enjoyment? Was it the power? Was it the competition? Was it just being around all this excitement?
I think it was a little bit of all that. Plus, one of the things that I like about racing is you can take something that you build yourself and go out there and have a lot of fun and stuff like that.
So what was the biggest lesson you may have learned, do you think, as a young driver out there?
I'd say to treat your fellow competitors with respect like they treat you. And the main thing is go to have fun, People go to win all the time. They ain't having a lot of fun and stuff like that. Just go to have fun.
There's something about that smile, isn't there? You see someone when they're legitimately smile, it's a real smile after they won a race or even lost one, but had a lot of fun doing it. There's that look on their face, so you can't match that. You can't fake that really good down to smile, can you?
No, sir, you can't.
What was your biggest moment before this past weekend in your racing career so far, do you think, if you can pin it down to one or two?
That's like when this car was the first year it was run, I did win the points championship at North Alabama. And I'd say that's a great accomplishment. And I have last 2 years I finished second by 3 or 4 points twice.
Wow. Hey, one thing I will point out, if you don't mind, I love that the chair has just as much character as your car and you. but when you're rocking it, it's fighting for a little attention. It wants to have its own podcast. So if you can not rock so much or get a little WD-40 for that sucker, will be good.
Okay.
Hey, when did you decide that you're going to make a run at Bristol? What were you thinking at that time?
Be truthful, a friend of mine, John Warnicky, his son drives a 602 late model. He found out that they was going to run classes, like we could run in. And he called, said he's going to put Jonathan's name in. I asked him, I said, well, is there a class you think my car would run in? He said, yeah. And he said, well, I'll put your name in too. And I really about decided, money and all that. I just didn't want to go. And about the time I decided that day, he called me, and the first words out of his mouth was, we're going to Bristol.
And what were your words back to him?
I said, we're going. I never really thought about running, Bristol on dirt because, they just don't do that. But, if you get the chance, it was great.
And you never done it before, but it's been 20 years since they put dirt on that NASCAR track at Bristol, and you just kind of felt that, man, I got to do this, huh?
Yes, sir.
And let's talk about the car. I can see it behind you. The podcasters can watch and look at the pictures on our Facebook page and your page as well, Extreme Racing. We're going to talk about that for a second, all right? So you have a number on it. The number is 74X. Does that represent anything in particular, Nick?
No, sir. Like I said, Ben, the guy that I started racing with, he bought a car. We carried it down here to a little track in Baldwin to race. There was already a car down there with a number 7 on it. We had some, I think, duct tape or some kind of tape. We thought, what is the easiest number to make? There wasn't, 4 was pretty easy, and they wanted a 74 down there, so that's the way we come up with the number 74.
And it is a 74 in tape, right? Is that tape, duct tape?
No, sir. Now I've got the numbers I was all painted on there.
Oh, those are nice and painted on there. Okay. And you got an X there, right? That X represents the Extreme Racing team too. Do you guys all have an X on your numbers?
Yes, sir. We all got an X on our numbers. And that 2 represents, we've got 2 good friends that's no longer with us that used to go to all the races, Kenny Wheeler and Ed Stearns. And it helps us remember that they are still with us.
Yeah, and those guys, let's talk about those guys for a second, because they were a big part of it. They're crew chief, but so much more, right? Kind of the heart and soul of your organization.
Yes, sir. I know Ed, before I'd have to work on a Saturday, car wouldn't be ready. He'd come down here to my shop. work on my car all day long. I'd get off work, come home. So, you ready to go? He said, no, Nick, I'm tired. You ready? He said, call me or come by the house. Tell me how you doing.
For the people, Nick, that aren't familiar with the racing world very much, let's talk about the relationship with you and guys like that. I mean, isn't there kind of a brotherhood, kind of a love there that a lot of people in this world may be missing? Friendships like that you create in a garage or at a racetrack that just can't be matched anywhere else, huh?
Yes, sir, that's true. You meet some of the best people you've ever seen. Like I have said before, I've never been around people that will help you work on your car, do everything they can to get you back out there and run you just as hard as they have to try to beat you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they're friends in the pits and then they're competitors out on the tracks, huh? Yeah. And so when you race, you're racing with and for those friends that aren't with you. That's kind of cool, huh?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's talk about that hood because I can see it from here too. You have a painted hood. Who did the artwork for you and what does that represent, Nick?
My daughter, Tony, done the hood for me. I just always liked the Grim Reaper, built the car, and she always done art in school and all. And I told her, I said, I want a Grim Reaper on my hood. First she said, Daddy, what is a Grim Reaper? I said, well, go in there and look at the computer. She went in there and I don't know, about 30 minutes, an hour later, she come back, she drawed it off on a piece of paper. And me and Ed, he was here. We toted that hood in her bedroom. I think it took her about 4 or 5 hours. We toted it back out here, but now that's to me one of the special things on my car because my daughter done it for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you're driving into Bristol with the Grim Reaper, and I don't see a lot of sponsor stickers on that vehicle of yours.
There's not any on this car at all.
In fact, didn't you have to take the body off of that thing at some point? Tell me how you got that overall appearance, that unique appearance that got you so much attention out there.
Actually, when I built that car, the roll cage is built to the same shape of a stock body. So to actually put a body on it, the only thing you got to do is cut a piece of metal and it'll kind of fold around there to look like a stock body.
So you just slapped some good old metal around the car. You kept your original hood. You got number 74X on the side. And you said, let's go make a run at Bristol.
Let's go.
And when you got there, when you finally pulled up, well, first off, when you first looked out on that track, right? When you got there and looked at it, what did you think?
I was in awe of the place. I've never been to a place anywhere close to that big as far as the seating and the longest track I'd run on up to that time was 3/8 of a mile. But it was awesome.
So less turns then for you, right? You're used to
Yes.
turning more. Yeah. So how cool did you think about the fact that all these, NASCAR guys, all these big names in the sport have run on the same ground that you're now standing on?
Yes, sir. I thought, I was in awe to be there, some people took pictures of my name up there on that Jumbotron they got. And like you say, there's just a handful of people that can say they run in Bristol and really just a few handful less that can say they run Bristol on dirt.
For sure. So race day came. Were you nervous that morning when you got up and got out to the track?
Yes, sir. We had a hot lap before our practice the day before we actually went out there to race. But yes, it was nervous, happy, a little bit of everything.
And I know I can tell because any racer does, and I do as well, have a competitive spirit. We want to win no matter what. So we're sitting here thinking, hey, man, I'm going to go out and win this thing. Even if you don't have the horsepower, you don't have the machinery that matches the other guys out there. Did you have any inkling of how you would do out there? Did you even care about how you would finish?
They when I first got there, after I got out there in hot lap, they could have told me, Nick, can't run no more, load up and go home. I'd have still been happy. But I looked at the rules and read their rules. And I told John, I said, John, can't run with these boys, I don't believe. But I said, I believe we can go up there, stay out of their way, maybe make nobody mad and have some fun.
And you managed to do that, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, one thing got me too. I think it was 120 cars there. When I went up there to draw a number to see where I lined up, I drew number 38. And I told John, I said, John, I said, 38 out of 100 and something. I said, this damn old car going to start up front. I said, they may run over us. I think I started second, and I believe on the back straightaway, I was pretty close to dead last.
You're pretty close to dead last.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And having fun.
Yeah, and having a great time. Did you pass anyone? I do have to ask you that. Did you pass anybody?
I will tell you this. There was one of those, they throw the caution flag. They lined us back up. And turn 4, we hadn't even got out of turn 4 hardly yet. They piled up in front of me a little bit. I hit one of them in the ass. And I did pass 2 or 3 cars at Bristol. It didn't take them long to get back around me, but I can say I did pass at least 2 or 3.
And as I look at the front of your car from here, tapping another car, I can't see where you messed up your car in any way from that. Looks like it could handle that pretty well.
I don't think it hurt a thing on my car.
The car looks like a tank, by the way, from there. It's pretty strong vehicle on the outside, maybe not so much on the inside. What do you have under the hood, and were you trying to squeeze as much out of it as you could?
We can run a 360 cubic inch Chevrolet Vortec heads. We have to pull 16 inches of vacuum at 900 RPM, 450 lift cam headers, and according to what track you run at, some of them will let us run. All of them you can run a 500 Holly 2-barrel, and one track up here they'll let us run 4 barrels.
And you had to borrow a lot of stuff just to be able to compete out there, didn't you?
Yes, sir. A lot of stuff was borrowed. Actually, Chris let me have his truck and trailer, his helmet, his Hans device, my fire suit I don't wear around here is just 1 layer. Up there, they wanted you to have a 2-layer fire suit. Jonathan, the guy I was talking about, has got the 602. He's grown up now. He had a fire suit. So that's the one I wore at Bristol. I actually borrowed some shoes from him too. But it was a lot of people had a hand in this as far as, getting up there and stuff like that.
Isn't it kind of cool? I mean, this is a dream come true for you. I mean, maybe you didn't even think about it a few years ago, but isn't this kind of like realizing a lifelong dream on your bucket list?
Yes, sir. It sure is.
And those around you knew, right, how important this is for you to have a moment like this, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I believe anybody that would have the chance to go up there, that's ever raced very much, would have thought, that could be a, once in a lifetime deal to go up there and race.
All right, so now let's get to what happened after the race. Because from what I understand, you don't even have a smartphone. So do you know what going viral even means? And who told you, hey, Nick, you're going viral, man?
Chris actually was calling up there and telling us about it. Friend of mine, I ain't gonna call his name. He was up there, had Facebook, but he got kicked off. So we didn't know just a whole lot of this that was going on. But now Chris had told us, a little bit. Really, I didn't find out how it was, but I'm gonna say Monday after we got back.
What do you think it is, Nick, that is striking such a chord with people? Why do you have so many people out there saying this is cool, man? This guy went after his dream. He brought out this old beat up car, and I hope I'm not offending your car by saying that.
No.
But brought a basic car down here to Bristol to compete, and you got thousands and thousands of people cheering for you, man. I mean, what do you think it is that's making people have that feeling?
I think one thing, a lot of times people kind of pull for the underdog, and it's just that a lot of those cars out there, a lot of money and sponsors and stuff like that. And my car kind of looked pretty much is. Kick the windows out, put a roll cage in it, let's go racing.
Nice. And what does this mean for you, do you think, and maybe for the sport, this newfound fame, whether it lasts a week or whether it lasts a month or two? What do you kind of hope that you get out of it, or maybe even the sport of racing gets out of this moment?
I'd like to see, especially, your local dirt tracks, maybe out of this, that a lot of more people will go out and support them. Because that's where, if you want the sport to grow and stuff like that, and I'd say too, bring your kids with you, because any sport, the kids there that's watching it, they're going to be the next drivers, football players, or whatever. If you don't have those kids there, you ain't going to have no more racing or football and stuff like that if you don't get them interested in it.
And how cool is it? Because I know, social media can be a pain in the backside, but in moments like this, it can share a story, and maybe this will inspire dozens of people to say, "Hey, man, that looks like fun. I'm going to do that." And you're the reason behind some of that, Nick. How does that make you feel? What do you think about that?
Makes me feel good, that I can inspire people like that. But I've ever show I've done, one of the things I asked is, why Nick? There's thousands of people out there just like me, work every day, barely make it, to the races, or, and I reckon I was just lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
Well, and you had the right attitude to go into this, right? Because I think it comes back, Nick, to the basics of what you're all about. Work hard and have fun. And I think that's what got you where you were, and that created that moment. Without that, you might have said, "No, man, I'm worried about how I'm going to look. I'm worried about how people will say, hey, is he a real racer out here?" And you took it to him and said, "No, this is what we do, and here it goes. Let's have some fun."
Yeah. Like I say, it's just something that I love, and ever since I've done it the first time, it's just been in my blood.
So before I let you go here, so some people now stepping up to help in different ways and being a part of this. Of course, some of them want the notoriety of being attached to you, but you got some sweatshirts and T-shirts and hats, and now you're getting some stuff for your cars, right? Some sponsors are stepped forward. Tell me about that.
Okay, we've got a lot of people that sponsor us and are starting to sponsor us and helping us. I've got a list here if I could read it, sir. Please
do, yeah.
First one I'd like to thank is Christopher Kelly. He's the one that started filmed it and put it on YouTube and got all this started.
All right. You got some more people on your list there?
Yes, sir. Also, as far as sponsors, Cody Roberts with Bullet Chassis, Trent Thomason with Pro Brake Systems, Mike Gatton with Gatton Towing, and Earl Ramey Racing Engines. They're going to try to get us an engine together. Trevor with Dynamic Designs are going to wrap our car. Trick Race Cars, Lizard Lit Lighting, Kobe Metal Works, Circle City Raceway. And I'd really like to thank Race Ranch for the great design on our T-shirt and getting it done real quick.
Cool.
Also, I'd like to thank some of the people that, this is folks that's come on here lately, but people that helped me get to where I was as far as getting to go to Bristol. I'd like to thank Phillips Engines in Corinth. That's the motor that I ran at Bristol. I'd like to thank Kenny Waters. He helps me build my transmissions and carburetors. And I also like to say this again. Thank John Warnicki, because he started all this. And also, I'd really like to, again, remember Ed and Kenny that's not with us. And I'd like to thank Brittany and them a whole lot, Chris, because they have done a whole lot as far as getting these shirts designed and all. Like I say, I still ain't got a Facebook or nothing like that. They're handling all the phone calls and everything like that.
Yeah, they're working hard around the clock. Hey, that was a beautiful Oscar speech you just gave there, huh? You never thought you might have one of those days where you got to stand up there on the big stage in front of your car here and thank everybody. That's pretty cool.
It's amazing to me. And like I said, I'm just a city boy. Worked hard all my life, like to race, and people's calling Nick Stoop from everywhere wanting me to come to their racetrack.
That's awesome.
I like to say it's a team effort. People help me, people I didn't mention, stuff like that. But, I'm just happy to be the one that gets to, I reckon, live the dream with them. I'll say that.
Yep, living the dream. So I do have to ask you, because you came to fame in this car that I see behind you, but by the time you're all said and done, you might be dressed up looking like Talladega Nights. You might be draped in diamonds and driving a fancy car. How's that going to change Nick Stoop?
I hope it don't change me at all. I mean, I'd like to say be the same person, you know.
Just a little different look, a little more power under the hood, and go out.
A little more power under the hood. Now we can live with that, you know.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, Nick, before I let you go, what has been the best part of this overall for you?
It's all of it has been such a great experience. Went to Bristol, got to make laps at the racetrack as far as on dirt. Another thing I done up there, we parked right beside the drag strip. I made a pass down the drag strip. It was on Chris's four-wheeler, but I made a pass down Thunder Valley. You know, like I said, it's just amazing to me.
That's cool.
All of it.
Well, hey, thank you, Nick, for taking us along on your journey. This has been quite a ride, and glad and honored to be talking to you about it. And I think it's so important for people to remember, just have fun, enjoy your life, go after your goals, go after your dreams. And, don't do it for the fame and stuff, but if you're getting it like you are now, use it for the good and use it to help grow the sport and to thank those around you that got you there.
And that's like I'd like to say too, you don't always have to win every race. It's like me. I tell people that was the ugliest and slowest car out there. And, look, it could happen to anybody. It could happen to me.
Hey, Nick talked about Brittany Bryant there, who has been working around the clock helping manage this moment for him. We have a podcast up on her and that effort right now. That's episode 76. Also from Bristol, a racer just starting his career, dubbed The Future. Trey Mills talks with us about making history with his feature win at just 12 years old. Wow. That's episode 75. Plus Bobby Pierce, Ken Schrader, and much more. We hope you subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel, where we have an entire series right now on dirt track racing. And if you are listening to this as a podcast, you can also watch it on our YouTube channel and see Nick for yourself. This is The Heart of the Story with Gary Metivier Podcast.